Let me have you, Shankaran, read this question here.
Okay.
It's an interesting question.
Whoa, where's that?
Yeah, it's an interesting.
Oh, this one, 17.
At the very
I
bottom.
thought you said it's called, it says interesting.
Yeah, it's an.
Okay, I'll read it.
Go ahead and read that for us.
Let hearts and hearts be defined as hearts and hearts equals n squared minus 2n for all goods.
Those aren't hearts.
Those are not hearts, those are clovers, my bad.
They are called clubs.
Or clubs.
Oh,
Yeah, they're clubs. Got it, you don't know
You haven't
cards.
played many games of cards.
No, I have, but
Okay.
it's been a while.
Yeah, those are clubs.
Clubs and clubs defined as club and club equal n squared minus 2n for all values of n. If club x club is equal to club x plus 3 club, what is the value of x? My question is what does n squared minus 2n have to do with the second version of the problem?
Okay, what they're telling us here, because I know this looks very, very weird to us, right? What they're saying is whenever you see this club symbol, whatever's inside of it gets squared and then minus 2 times that number. So I'm going to show you this, even though it's not related. If it was, the function is club 3, then you would say
3 squared
3 squared
minus 2 times 3.
That's what you're going to do, okay? But they're not giving us numbers. They're giving us x, and they're giving us x plus 3. So,
oh my god, that's so tricky.
Do you guys see my example?
Tricky.
Instead of n?
Yeah.
So let's do this with x on the left side. So this is going to be x squared minus, it's going to be 2x, right, on this side. What's the right side going to be?
3 plus x. Wait, where'd you get x squared? Sorry, x squared.
The n formula originally, I'm just going to go here.
Oh, it's using what we said about the f of w kind of thing? Oh.
So instead of doing this with n, remember I said the same thing with 3? If this was 3, this would be 3 squared minus 2 times 3.
Oh.
Okay, but they're not giving us numbers. They're giving us variables. So we put it in, x in the club formula is now x squared minus 2x. So
because n in the club formula is x plus 3 squared minus 2x plus 3. Wait, what's going on?
Does everyone see that?
No.
On the right side of this equation, you're doing the club formula again, but you're doing it with x plus 3. This is together.
Gotcha. X plus
So this
3.
becomes x plus 3 squared minus 2 times the quantity x plus 3.
This stuff is so tricky.
This is a hard question. This is one which really makes you concentrate. Grace, do you see that? You kind of see it? Jasmine, how are you feeling? Okay. Remember, focus on the 3. If it was a 3, it would become 3 squared minus 2 times 3. But instead of giving us a number, they gave us a variable. So x became x squared minus 2x. When you have this, an expression x plus 3, the whole thing gets squared minus 2 times that expression. Just write it down for now, because if you don't write it down, you'll have no record of it. Okay, that's what I would do. All right. So this becomes x squared minus 2x. So let's clean this part on the right, because this is a lot of expressions, a lot of stuff here. So this is FOIL.
So you get x squared plus 6x plus 9.
Okay, so I distributed the -2 on that side, because that was pretty easy to do. This becomes x squared
Plus 6x.
plus 6x plus 9 minus 2x minus 6. Does everyone see that?
Yes.
On the left side, nothing changed here. Okay, before we do too much, I want to clean this up. And I'm going to use the blue marker. But you can see right here, x squared and x squared. cancel them out because you're going to subtract them on both sides, right? You see negative 2x and you see negative 2x here. Cancel them out because you're going to add them on both sides.
So wait, are we still having this as x squared? Okay, so you have to have it as x squared minus 2x.
This is x squared. If you subtract x squared on both sides, that's what I'm doing. This is canceled. You see how I did that?
Yeah.
I just got rid of it. But I'm just not writing it because it just takes so much space.
Yeah.
Does everyone see how I did that? This is why I said write everything down, because if you don't write this down, you're not going to have it. Okay. So let's make this board look cleaner now. So these are all drawn now.
So you get 6x plus 9 minus. Okay.
So, this is negative. One to the right. After that, it's just. I want to up to reading in this section, and I know last time you're good. Page number 90. Okay. Page number 90.
The first passage, right?
I'm sorry?
So like in line back.
It does refer back to it. They ask about a line. They ask about a line, a word, or a phrase. That's a detailed question asks about the word or phrase and how it's used in a passage. So let's write that in there. On point A, it says detailed questions ask about a word or a phrase and how it's used in the passage. You can spot them, like you said, Jasmine, because it points to a line, it points to a paragraph, or it points to a specific word. And then to answer it effectively, we should go back to the passage rather than rely on our memory, okay? So note the location of details. If you see that in the questions, go ahead and mark up your passage. The passage on the right is not the full passage, and I want to kind of move to the full passage and have you read that. It's on page 92. Part C is, in order to answer them effectively, you must go back to the passage. And then point D says, note the location of key details. So
Understand the.
Yeah.
What was B?
You can spot them because they point to a line number, paragraph number, or a word. Line number, paragraph number, or a word.
Understand the clue.
Is that a question there, Nick? Yeah.
So I noticed one of my problems is that like I get too stuck on like reading the passage.
Yeah.
I'm slow. Like I feel like I'm trying to soak in too much information when I'm reading, so that it makes it easier to answer the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take a long time. So would that be more of like read the passage to read through it?
You could,
Or
I mean, well, here's my question to you. If you skimmed it, would you understand the passage?
no.
Okay, so this is what I would do, because a lot of students face the exact same thing. Some of these passages are written in a very convoluted way. Just read one out of the two columns. Don't read both columns. Because what happens is students read the whole darn thing. They get to the end, they're like, oh my gosh, that was boring, right? And then they get to the questions, they're like, whoa, it's sending me back to the beginning of the passage. And I've just read all 80 or 100 lines of this thing. So if you just read half of it, then you didn't have to focus on too much. But if you go to the questions, the early questions are going to be asking about the first column of the passage. So you won't have to focus on too much. The full passage is actually on the next page. This is kind of just a sample of it. But for those of you who feel like these passages are too long, just read half of it and then go to the questions.
What happens when the question's asked and what the other?
Then you kind of go back there and you'll have to skim This is what I want you guys to do, because this is a hard passage. I want you to just read the first half, and then we'll do the questions 1 and 2, 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So go ahead and do that. We'll talk about it in a second. Just all the way to line, quasars. Yeah, they're called quasars. Just go to line number 45. So 1 to 45, and we'll talk about it. 1 to 45.
1 to 45.
Yes.
So reading half of the column is typically a strategy you could use for passages that you don't.
Feel like it's too complicated?
Some of the stuff I find, this is really interesting.
Okay.
Like I read it,
And you
but
can
some
keep
of them,
reading.
it's just, I can understand what's going on. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, well, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, because it's new stuff.
Yeah.
When you guys are done, just look up. We'll talk about it. Just the first column. Okay. You guys ready to talk about it?
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 5, if 5 is hard, 1 is easy, how many people would give this a 5? A 4? A 3? A 2? Okay, so Nick, you actually found this to be not too bad. Why don't you tell us your summary of this first column?
I think it like the summary of it would be like that the quasar or 3C237 is 273 is it's really it's important to like the discovery of quasars because it's like it's the brightest quasar there is.
Mm-hmm.
They give some history on like quasars and like what their function is in the universe and how they're created and what they do. And then it says like on the whole, we know more about this quasar than any others because it is so bright. It possesses a wide range of other qualities. Although quasars are like, we know more about this quasar than any others, it's still like really unknown.
Okay, that's pretty good what he's sharing with us so far. How many of you guys have some more things to add or things you thought that stood out? How many of you guys are like, I didn't get this passage. This was like weird stuff.
I mean, I kind of got everything I underlined. Like what I was doing is when I read it, like most of the stuff I can't understand. Like
it's not something you've read before,
and
right?
it's not my kind of like science, natural science is not my thing.
Right.
But when I'm going through, at least the least I can do is, or the most I can do is, kind of read it and like figure out which things that might be important, and then just like underline it and quickly move on. And I feel like I could grasp pretty much some of the stuff. Like, I mean, I don't understand how it works, but I could understand what I underlined. But like most of the stuff was what he said, like,
Okay.
quasars are.
One thing that I think Nick caught on here, which I want to encourage you guys to do, is with science passages, these writers don't use a lot of adjectives, but when they do, it really means something. And just the first column alone tells us that 3C273 is the brightest, the most luminous. Luminous means brightness. So it has the most brightness, and it compares it to more luminous than 1,000 galaxies. So that's a lot of it. That's a pretty darn bright object. The other things that are important, which Nick also highlighted, is by monitoring 3C273, we learn about other quasars and other objects in space. Some of this felt very scientific-y, right? And you're kind of like, what are you talking about? Like gravitational energy and gas and blah, blah, right? All they're saying is this energy is converted into radiation, and they're able to exhibit much phenomena from this. They learn something by how much energy it gives off. That's really what they're saying. Because they're not expecting any of us to be experts on these topics. Unless this was your personal hobby to read this magazine, most students would have read it and said, I've never heard of this before. So don't feel like, oh my gosh. That's what I want to assure you of, that you're not the only one who feels out of it. But read for adjectives when you read a scientific article. Because scientists, you gotta think of a scientist, they're like these people who like are in a lab all day and they don't communicate much. So they're like, I don't really talk to many people, so when I use adjectives, I really mean it. I'm trying to be this character from Bugs Bunny, which is like this scientist, and he talks very funny. I don't know if you guys ever watched Bugs Bunny cartoons, but there was one. All right, but let's go back to this. Okay, without going to the second column, I just want to go to question number 1. Grace, you want to read that one? So they didn't give us any line numbers. They didn't give us any specific sentences to go to. You're going to have to go through a process of elimination to determine which one tells us that quasars are the most distant objects that can be. That's your key thing there. Like I said, look for the adjectives. Most distant objects. Do you see how subtle that is? Look for the adjectives. They didn't give you anything. Where'd you see it? 19. Okay. And then what did that tell you there? Good job. So now your answer should be pretty obvious, right? So when they don't give us a line number, you've got to find those key words there, right? All right. I'm training your eyes. That's really what I'm doing.
Training the eyes.
Yeah. This one's tricky too. Jasmine, you want to read this one? Don't read the answers. Look at the question. There's no line number, no paragraph number. What do you do?
Look for the adjective.
Look for words that are standing out in the question.
Power.
Power. Okay, that's a good one. What else?
Physical process.
The word quasar is all over this thing. It's
Yeah.
going to be hard to find. I want you to go back to the passage and find the phrase physical processes that power them. Find that.
Oh, I found it.
You found
On the
it?
line, yeah, it's on the second paragraph.
Second paragraph. You want to read that?
Sure. By monitoring 3C273 in all domains of the electromagnetic spectrum and by observing variations in its luminosity, astronomers have begun to understand quasars and the physical processes that power them.
Okay. So we didn't have line numbers, but those words stuck out.
This is that. Oh my God.
It's training your eyes.
Awesome.
So going back to the question, astronomers study them, the quasars and their physical processes by doing what? What is that, Jasmine? Say that louder. I couldn't even hear you. Monitoring electromagnetics.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is awesome.
Do you guys see where that was? We didn't have to be an expert of this stuff,
So cool.
but you're looking for the key words.
Cause like, I'm getting it right for once.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that's,
well,
well, what I'm trying to say is that you guys can do stuff like this, which you've never read before. It's unfamiliar, but it's not about being an expert in the topic. It's seeing how they write the question. That's really what it is. Nick, you want to read this? This is also no line numbers, no paragraph numbers here.
In the passage which is the following is not a fact provided about the quasar.
So when they say not a fact, that means 3 of them are, 1 of them is not.
one of them is not.
You want to try that?
I like what I
Yeah, you have to go to the answer choices and eliminate because one of them is not a fact and 3 of them are.
yeah. So I remember it talked about how far away it could be. Or did I?
Is a fact.
I'm not sure. I remember talking about the luminosity, so we can cross out C. I remember talking about how it can vary, so we can cross out D. So we're left with A and D. And then I remember that it talked about why it studied 3C273 more than any others is because it has some qualities that other quasars don't have. So then that's probably it, because all quasars don't have the same properties.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. You guys got it. You guys are starting to get how they write these things. One thing I'm going to tell you, and I know it doesn't scream out to you, but it does to me because I read these things all the time. The word all is rarely used as a correct answer. Does anybody know why? Nick?
Could be generalization.
It's too hard to prove it. Yeah, generalizing, like I'll use an example. Hey, do you watch America's Got Talent? And someone says, yeah, I watch that all the time. And then you go, did you see it last night? And they're like, no, I missed it. Wait, you just said you watch it all the time. All the time means 100%, right? I should do it this way, 100%. 100% means you have never missed an episode of America's Got Talent, right? But if you miss it once, that's not 100%.
Wow.
Okay? Academic writers are very, very precise. They are afraid of using all. They are afraid of using never. Those 2 words means, do you ever watch America's Got Talent? Never. Oh, but I saw it last night. Wait, you just said never. Never means 0. Never. But I watched it last night. Wait, you just said never. Okay? So academic writers, they shy away from using things that force them to prove. That's called the burden of proof. Okay? If you have to prove that you've never watched it or you always watch it, that's harder to prove than sometimes. So that's in the middle. Okay, so that's why that one to me stuck out, and that's why I knew that was the wrong answer. Okay, now we didn't even read the whole thing. Let's turn to the next page. Let's talk about this. This is vocab in context. We talked about this. Does anyone remember what is a vocab in context question asking? Jasmine?
I have to give you a word and then say, what does it mean in the passage?
Right.
The context.
Right, so it asks you to find the contextual meaning. Right, exactly right, contextual meaning.
Or synonym.
And usually you spot them because they're asking for a synonym.
Oh, okay.
So point B is either a synonym or a definition.
Are you going to say that again?
It's CINAMON. SYNONYM. Synonym.
Synonym and what?
Or else a definition.
Or you can spot them because.
If it's a definition, they won't give you a 1-word answer. They'll give you a full definition of the word. Okay. So to best answer them, you should go back to the passage to find out the meaning. Don't rely on just the words that are right there. So we haven't even read the whole passage, but we can do these 2. I want to see if you guys can do it. Let's go with 4. Shankar, you want to do 4?
Give you a word or synonym. Give me a moment. Wait, okay. Rate, no? Okay.
Okay.
So number 4, you said.
Yeah, there were 4.
So don't, oh wait, yeah, we've already done the passage. As used in line 10, the word, well, yeah, I know, but I annotated this page, so. The word domains most nearly means in all domains of the electromagnetic, like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, in all domains of the electromagnetic spectrum, like all, I think it's better, but like, I have an
Put it in
idea.
your own words. That's fine.
It's like all of the places of the, like,
Electromagnetic spectrum.
yeah, it has like
Okay.
different
Okay.
domains. It's like,
All right, Jasmine?
Every like categories of area.
Good. Categories or areas. Okay. What's our best answer then?
area.
Areas. I think we can see you're a little too specific. Like, it's not homes, it's not specialties,
Not territory.
it's not locations, so it's not territory. So D is your best one.
Yeah.
Okay. Grace, you want to do number 5? This is tricky. We haven't read line 72, 73, so you might need to go back there. Yes. I would have to go back because you guys didn't even read this yet. So you might need to read that
Start
paragraph.
from the whole paragraph.
I would just read that paragraph because it's a long sentence there,
Yeah.
72,
Is that
73.
Martin?
Yes. I think it's German to put 2 A's in there.
Yeah. I think Schmidt's also German.
It sounds German.
Martin.
Yeah.
You know. Schmidt of the mountains.
Jasmine, do you have something in mind?
Yeah.
Yes. Wait. Did we get? No. Wait. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Grace, you want to tell us what you thought? C is, let me go there. It says the bulk of available evidence supports Schmidt's findings. That's right.
Yeah, man.
Good job. So that last sentence is kind of saying it backwards, where they have little room to doubt whatever Schmidt found out, right? So when you have little room to doubt, that means that the evidence supports. That's what it means. That was tricky. It's kind of a backward sentence, right? But all the guy said was, I think this is the brightest thing out there. And then people actually doubted. You figure these are like scientists like, well, I believe you must do more studies on this because you're off by 0.00000000001. You know, and that's how scientists are. They're very, very precise. And you're like, that gives room to doubt because it's 0.000000001. Okay, let's continue. All right, you guys are doing really well.
Wow. Yeah, I know. I've never done well.
And what I'm going to say is this: we didn't even read the whole passage there, and you guys could see that we were able to finish that. Right? I want you guys to do this as a final exercise because we only have about 9 minutes. Go ahead and read this passage on the next 2 pages, 98, 99, and answer all 5 questions. We'll go over them together.
Okay, let's go.
Oh, the social science, do we still, because it's social science and still not natural science, do we still look for adjectives? Is that also a good way?
Most of these writers are like that. Unless
Any science?
adjectives to them are a big indicator.
Or is that just for both social and natural science?
Yeah. The only time you see much emotion is like somebody writing a personal narrative or something.
Then it's just everywhere.
Yeah, but you're not going to see much of that in academic writing. You know where I'm
No.
Let's give it another minute. It's ready to go. This was the third section. Oh, if this was on a test, this would have been in the third section. Okay, let's go over this because we're almost out of time here today. There's only 5 questions here. I'm just gonna read off the answers first and then go over the ones that people find were not in agreement with what they got. One was A, 2 is B, no, 2 is C, sorry, 2 is C. I said that wrong. 2 is C, 3 is A, 4 is B, and 5 is C. Should we go over some of these or not? Any of these? I'm sorry. Number 3 says the word mother. Okay, the literal meaning we think of a parent, right? So the word in line 12 here, let's go to line 12. It says mother tongue, right? So it's the first language that a child learns. It doesn't mean that it's the mother's language. It means primary language. That's what they mean. So that means go back to the passage. I know that a lot of you guys didn't get to the homework, so it's the same homework that I said. I don't know, how many of you guys finished that homework? Yeah. Because we didn't do the math.
Oh, I turned that in.
That's okay. I mean, you gave it your best, so it's
Yeah.
fine.
So
Just
that's
try
the
to
same
finish
homework.
that, because we didn't start this new chapter. I just gave you guys the new chapter. Just hold on to
So
that.
that's the new, so that homework that I did.
Was for today. That's okay. You're ahead of. Who wants to give this?
No, I'm SAT this week.
Just put that in there. We haven't even touched it. We'll do it on.
What was this one?
We'll do it on.
What was number
2 was C. 2 was C. Who wants